Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is Explanation of Battle Through the Heavens episode number 221 based on novel. So let's start. A sharp frightening wind whistled through the chamber. The black metal-like fist of the Northern Dragon King was just like the sickle of a death god as it mercilessly shot towards Xiao Yang's head. This sudden unexpected change would have caused anyone else to turn pale in shock, but the smile on the face of that skinny figure standing in front of the fire cauldron did not disappear. Just glanced at the Northern Dragon King, who had broken free from the cauldron, and extended his finger before pressing it down from some distance away. Bang! After Xiao Yang pressed his finger down, the Northern Dragon King, who was rushing over, suddenly stiffened. Wave after wave of pink flames suddenly erupted from his body without warning. They wrapped around his body before invading from all possible entrances. They swiftly swarmed into the Northern Dragon King's head before wrapping around the lingering soul that was controlling his body. Bastard, what have you done to his king? The sudden unexpected change caused the Northern Dragon King to feel shocked and furious. He let out a stern roar. Northern Dragon King, you have overestimated yourself by attempting to use a technique that hides your soul in front of me. Xiao Yang merely smiled as the Northern Dragon King let out a shocked and furious roar. His spiritual strength was many times stronger than this Northern Dragon King. How could he make a simple mistake like missing a soul fragment? However, what had just occurred was what he had hoped would happen. Although a body refined by an ordinary refinement method became tougher and became immune to pain, a puppet was ultimately only a puppet. It did not possess its own fighting experience. Xiao Yang was naturally unwilling to use the Northern Dragon King's body to refine such a basic puppet. With his current strength, he would refine the best puppet he could since he wished to refine one. A perfect puppet not only required a metal-like body and an immunity to pain, it also required a great fighting experience and many killing methods. However, a puppet was normally controlled by its owner. If the owner ignored it, the puppet would become dull regardless of how strong it was. This type of puppet was far from being perfect. In order to resolve this weakness, one needed to construct the puppet with as much intelligence, or rather battle experience, as possible. The Northern Dragon King had fought in an uncountable number of battles throughout his life. He was an extremely experienced fighter. As long as his soul fragment was refined and merged with the puppet that would be formed would truly become a killing machine. Back then, Xiao Yang had shattered the soul of the Northern Dragon King, but he had left this soul fragment hidden within the Northern Dragon King's body alone. This soul fragment had inherited the viciousness of the Northern Dragon King. It had been hiding during this period of time and had only rose to cause trouble after Xiao Yang had tempered the body until it was extremely strong. Unfortunately, this remnant soul was unaware that this was a trap to lure him out. Only by merging this soul fragment with this body would the puppet be perfect. I have finally found you. Xiao Yang glanced at the Northern Dragon King, who had been surrounded by a pink flame, and faintly smiled. He could sense that the heavenly flame had surrounded the Northern Dragon King's remaining soul. Don't! The Northern Dragon King seemed to have detected something at this moment. Shock flashed across his eyes. Before he could finish speaking, however, Xiao Yang had indifferently waved his hand. The purifying demonic lotus flame surged forward and swallowed the soul fragment like a tornado. Its terrifyingly high temperature refined it within a couple of minutes. After the Northern Dragon King's final soul fragment was refined, a somewhat illusory air flow suddenly appeared within the purifying demonic lotus flame. After which, this air flow slowly drifted under Xiao Yang's control before merging with the head of the puppet. After the illusory flow entered the Northern Dragon King's head, the hollow eyes of the puppet gradually revealed a cold golden luster. This luster was set off by the puppet's black metal-like body. Looking from a distance, it appeared extremely majestic and emanated a great deterrence. Moreover, its originally somewhat stiff body gradually replaced. This loosening was not a form of weakness. Instead, it hid the puppet's frightening strength, which could erupt at a moment's notice, in a place where one's eyes could not reach, allowing the puppet to be more effective when it erupted and killed. Xiao Yang sighed in relief as he observed the black metal figure standing in front of him. He flicked his finger. A drop of essence blood shot out of his finger. Finally, it landed on the puppet's brow before transforming into a faint blood seal. A mental connection was also formed when Seal appeared. In the future, you shall be called Northern King. That strong-looking black figure's face moved after hearing Xiao Yang's words. Finally, an emotionless hoarse voice was slowly emitted from its mouth. Understood, Master. This puppet was different from those Sky Demon puppets in the past. The Sky Demon puppets did not possess an intelligence. They needed to be controlled by people when fighting others. However, this Northern King would automatically attack with just a thought from Xiao Yang. Moreover, it would not look sluggish like a regular puppet would when fighting against others. It appeared as though it was no different than if the Northern Dragon King had been revived. The current Northern King should be comparable to a 5-star Dosheng. Xiao Yang fondled his chin. His eyes continued to observe the Northern King. A puppet that could match a 5-star dosheng, there was no telling just how much of a commotion such news would stir if it spread. However, Xiao Yang still felt a little unsatisfied. The Northern Dragon King had vaguely reached the 6th star of the dosheng class, and with the unusually strong body of the Northern Dragon King, the limit of this puppet should be higher. A puppet is unable to unleash Do Qi. It completely relies on the strength of its physical body when attacking. With the current physical body of the Northern King, refining it with the purifying demonic lotus flame would not do much. In the past, the Earth Demon puppet had relied on absorbing lightning in order to raise its strength. Xiao Yang had used a similar refinement method for this puppet and had refined some special ingredients into the Northern King's body. In other words, the current Northern King would possess the ability to absorb lightning. Moreover, the limit of this absorption was far from what those Sky Demon puppets in the past could compare with. Hence, the only thing he needed to consider was where he could find a sufficient lightning strength. If he were to rely on refining medicinal pills to attract pill lightning, Xiao Yang would not be able to break the Northern King through to the 6th star of the dosheng class even if he worked himself to death. Perhaps it is time to head to that place. Xiao Yang mused for a moment before he softly laughed. He did not remain any longer as he turned around and walked out of the chamber. The Northern King followed close behind him like a shadow. Xiao Yang immediately came across Cai Lin in the courtyard after exiting the quiet room. She also turned her head after detecting him. A stunned expression flashed across her eyes when she saw the Northern King behind Xiao Yang. The body of the Northern Dragon King had undergone a drastic change after the purifying demonic lotus flame had refined it for over 10 days. With its black metallic-like body, no one would recognize it as the infamous Northern Dragon King of the ancient Void Dragon tribe with just a glance. The refinement was a success. Xiao Yang nodded. He did not remain for long. After briefly explaining the situation to Cai Lin, he led the Northern King into the air and swiftly rushed into the empty realm outside of the Dragon Island. Rumble. The low and deep roar of thunder echoed in the distance within the dark empty realm. If one swept one's eyes around, one would find a glowing silver light near the edge of the darkness where huge thunderbolts crazily whistled by like huge dragons. Xiao Yang's body remained suspended in the realm. His eyes swept over the extremely huge lightning pool in front of him. This place was where he had refined the Sky Demon puppets back then and also where he had met the headmaster of the Inner Academy, Mang Tiankai from the Lei clan, for the first time. At that time, Mang Tiankai had appeared extremely miserable since he was being chased by those strange black lightning beings. At that time, Xiao Yang only knew that those black lightnings were terrifying and that he could not touch them. This time around, his target were those black lightning beings, who had forced Mang Tiankai to flee in horror back then. He needed to rely on the lightning strength of this lightning pool in order to raise the strength of the Northern King to a truly perfect level. Let's go. His arc-black pupils observed the thunderbolts surging within the lightning pool. Xiao Yang faintly smiled as his body took the lead to fly forward. The Northern King's black body followed close behind him. Back then, Xiao Yang had needed to be extremely careful when he had entered the lightning pool of the empty realm. He had been afraid of attracting tens of thousands of lightning strikes at the same time, but now he appeared quite at ease in this strange region that was filled with a frightening strength. His body steadily floated through the lightning pool. The wildly flashing thunderbolts would suddenly come to a halt when they were still hundreds of feet from Xiao Yang before turning tail and running with some panic. They were able to detect a relatively frightening existence within the somewhat strong body. Xiao Yang did not pause along the way. He rushed to the deepest part of the lightning pool. With the purifying demonic lotus flame protecting his body, the lightning strength did not dare to charge forward. From the looks of it, this third-ranked heavenly flame did live up to its reputation. The lightning pool of the empty realm was extremely vast, but with Xiao Yang's speed, he had reached the deepest part within less than 10 minutes. No wonder even Headmaster Mang Tiankai could only turn around and flee back then. Xiao Yang glanced at his dim surroundings after reaching the deep regions. He then shifted his eyes to examine a black lightning cluster, which appeared like huge dragon as it slowly wiggled within the darkness. Even with his current strength, his expression involuntarily became grave. The grave expression lasted for a moment before Xiao Yang slowly sighed. Some joy rose onto his face. If the Northern King absorbed this lightning, it would be able to reach a perfect level. At that time, it could even fight against an elite 6-star Do Sheng. This kind of help would be very useful to Xiao Yang. Black Demon Lightning. Xiao Yang's feet paused outside of the region filled with black lightning. His eyes studied the black thunderbolts that clustered together before shock involuntarily flashed across them. Who would have expected Black Demon Lightning, which could only be attracted after a Tier 9 medicinal pill was refined, to exist in such vast numbers in this pool? This world was indeed filled with all sorts of mysteries. Xiao Yang was not unfamiliar with this Black Demon Lightning. He had once summoned it after refining a pill back at the small pill tower. However, that Black Demon Lightning was insignificant when compared to the Black Demon Lightning in this lightning pool. Fortunately, Xiao Yang's strength far surpassed what it had been back then. Otherwise, he would only have been able to flee after seeing such a number of black demon lightning. The strength of nature is indeed unpredictable. Xiao Yang shook his head, but he did not immediately let the Northern King absorb the lightning strength. There was a lot of black demon lightning in this place. If one carelessly activated all of them, they would be a little troublesome to deal with. Hence, he sat down outside of the black demon lightning region with his legs crossed and began to observe the situation within the lightning pool. This observation lasted for an hour. An hour later, Xiao Yang finally sighed in relief after confirming that no accidents had occurred. A thought passed through his mind. The Northern King behind him took a step forward without any hesitation and slowly headed to the deepest part of the lightning pool. Bang! The Northern King immediately attracted the attention of a black demon lightning after he entered the deepest part of the lightning pool. 100-foot large black thunderbolt, resembling a giant python, slowly wiggled above the head of the Northern King. A sizzling lightning glow was emitted from the body of this black demon lightning. Under the control of Xiao Yang's mind, the Northern King halted before lifting its head to look at the black thunderbolt. After which, it slowly extended its hand and touched the lightning. The black demon lightning did not dodge this attack. Instead, it appeared to have been provoked. It moved and ruthlessly smashed into the Northern King's arm. The Northern King's black metal-like body suddenly unleashed a strange suction force after the black demon lightning touched its arm. It actually sucked the black demon lightning into its body. The Northern King's hair stood up like many needles after the black demon lightning was brutally dragged into its body. Circular black sparks continued to wildly flicker around its body. A strange sound was continuously emitted, causing this somewhat quiet part of the lightning pool to appear exceptionally deafening. Xiao Yang's eyes were somewhat anxious as observed the Northern King lingering within the black lightning. A moment later, a joy surged into his eyes. He sensed the unusually wild and violent strength of the black demon lightning madly rage within the Northern King's body before finally merging with it. That wild and violent energy invaded the Northern King's muscles, bones, cells. The lightning strength was indeed effective on the Northern King. Under this refinement, the originally black body of the Northern King had become a little duller. The muscles on its body filled with a strength visible to the eye. The effect is quite good. The energy from the black demon lightning had ultimately merged with the Northern King's body. This merger caused Xiao Yang to feel some joy. Before a smile could surface on his face, all the hairs on his body ended up standing up. He lifted his head, only to find that many huge black bolts of lightning had encircled the Northern King's body like huge dragons. Crackling sparks flashed. The lightning was filled with a wild and violent force that numbed one's head. They were still attracted. Xiao Yang helplessly shook his head once the lightning moved. A thought passed through his mind and the Northern King, which had been surrounded by many bolts of black demon lightning, suddenly pressed its foot down on empty space. Its body was like a cannonball as it shot forth. Boom! The actions of the Northern King had undoubtedly detonated the stalemate. The many bolts of black demon lightning moved at the same time. Many huge black thunderbolts chased the Northern King at a shocking speed. After which, one of them ruthlessly smashed into the Northern King's body. Bang! A black demon lightning collided with the Northern King's body. The bolt of lightning disappeared in a flash and was absorbed by the Northern King, but the huge force from the thunderbolt sent the Northern King flying for tens of thousands of feet. This kind of strength caused Xiao Yang to feel speechless. Even an ordinary one-star Do Sheng would feel a headache after being assaulted by one of these bolts of black demon lightning. Fortunately, the Northern King's physical body had already reached a relatively frightening level. It didn't even lose a hair after being sent flying by tens of thousands of feet. After which, Xiao Yang made it sit down, allowing the many huge strands of black demon lightning to charge into it. Bang! Clear loud sounds repeatedly appeared within the deepest part of the lightning pool. Numerous tendrils of black demon lightning pounced on the Northern King like many huge dragons, but each time the black demon lightning came in contact with the puppet's body, a black glow would flash before disappearing. Subsequently, the black lightning arcs flashing around the Northern King's body became even denser. Xiao Yang clicked his tongue and praised as he watched this assault from outside the deepest region. His heart felt extremely comfortable. The strength of the Northern King's physical body had even surprised him. The ancient Void Dragon's body was extremely outstanding to begin with, and this Northern Dragon King was considered one of the top individuals among them. After devouring the Western and Southern Dragon Kings, the strength of the Northern Dragon King had been raised even further. If one were to simply compare the strength of one's physical body, it was likely that even Zi Yang would be somewhat inferior to the mutated Northern Dragon King. Of course, Xiao Yang also understood that when Zi Yang's Dragon Phoenix bloodline completely activated, no one in the whole world would be able to compare with the strength of her body. After being strengthened through various procedures and the refinement of the purifying demonic lotus flame, the physical body of this Northern King was relatively frightening. Hence, it did not show any signs of reaching its limit even after absorbing so many bolts of black demon lightning. This puppet could be considered an ultimate creation. The sky demon puppets that he had obtained back in the Do Sheng remains where the great heaven creation palm had come from were piles of trash. The body was the most important material when it came to refining puppets. After the puppet was successfully refined, it would not be able to use Do Chi, so it could only rely on its physical body. However, a strong body like the body of the Northern Dragon King was extremely hard to find. The owner of the Do Sheng remains' actual strength was likely far inferior to the Northern Dragon King. Naturally, the ingredient selected by him would not be top quality. According to this speed, the Northern Dragon King's strength should become a 6-star Do Sheng within half a month. Xiao Yang smiled. This rate was extremely shocking, but he soon slowly withdrew his focus. He was preparing to shut his eyes and recuperate when an arm-sized black demon lightning unconsciously drifted over. Finally, it collided with his body in front of his stunned eyes. This tiny black demon lightning naturally did not pose much harm to Xiao Yang. A pink fire seedling swept out of his body when the lightning made contact. Then, the flame devoured that black demon lightning. The flame and the lightning caused Xiao Yang to feel slightly startled. He was just about to study the interaction of the black demon lightning when he suddenly sensed an unusually pure energy surge into his body. Finally, this energy spread throughout his limbs. Moreover, Xiao Yang was stunned to find that this pure energy contained a slight numbing feeling when it flowed by his internal organs. Sparks of an electric flow quietly invaded him, causing the organs in his body to emit an unusually relaxed feeling. This is the devouring power of the Nihility devouring flame. This sudden energy caused Xiao Yang to feel startled. Ywa, delicious. A fire glow flashed onto Xiao Yang's shoulder. A cute palm-sized little Yi appeared. He widened its bright big eyes as he looked at those black demon lightning in the distance. A somewhat transparent glob actually appeared at the corner of his mouth before he hurriedly wiped at it away. He then sucked with his small mouth and an unusual devouring power erupted. Over a dozen bolts of black demon lightning from a short distance away swiftly rushed toward Xiao Yang as though they had been swept over by a tornado. They were then devoured by little Yi on Xiao Yang's shoulder. Some black-colored lightning arcs flashed over little Yi's body after he swallowed the dozen-plus strands of black demon lightning together. At the same time, a shockingly pure energy once again materialized within Xiao Yang's body without warning. Finally, it scattered to his limbs and bones. This time around, Xiao Yang had gained an understanding of the source of this energy. His heartbeat suddenly quickened. The blood demon lightning was extremely violent. Even though the energy within it was extremely shocking, he had never dared to even think of absorbing it. He might possess the purifying demonic lotus flame, but this thought had still never crossed his mind. However, little Yi possessed a tiny bit of the devouring power of the Nihility devouring flame and was able to absorb this energy. Xiao Yang's throat slowly rolled. After the energy, which caused his body to feel numb, quietly merged with his body, he discovered that his strength, which had not increased ever since he had left the demonic flame realm, had once again slightly increased. Xiao Yang stiffly lifted his head. He looked at the densely packed cluster of black demon lightning in the distance as an extremely heated expression suddenly filled his eyes. Since little Yi could refine and devour black demon lightning, which was lethal in the eyes of others, these bolts had become a perfect source of nourishment in his eyes. All of these are mine. Xiao Yang licked his lips somewhat greedily as a joyous low roar was emitted from his throat. Within the empty realm lightning pool, Xiao Yang forcefully suppressed the excitement in his eyes after a long while. He looked at little Yi on his shoulder. The only one who could endure the black demon lightning's wild and violent energy assault was this fire spirit. The crystal droplet on the corner of little Yi's mouth became even denser when Xiao Yang glanced over. He immediately rubbed his flabby hands on his face and flew forward. Finally, he appeared in the air above a cluster of black demon lightning. A circular pink flame that emitted a devouring power spread from his body. Any strand of the black demon lightning that touched this fire circle would meet a suction force that could not be resisted. They were unable to escape regardless of how they struggled. Finally, all of them flew along the edges of the fire circle before entering little Yi's small body. Crackle. The surface of little Yi's body began to flicker with many black arcs after the many bolts of black demon lightning had been devoured. The black demon lightning that entered his body was swiftly refined by the purifying demonic lotus flame and then turned into an extremely pure energy that spread apart. While little Yi was wildly devouring the black demon lightning, Xiao Yang remained sitting in the empty space. Wave after wave of an unusually pure and powerful energy began to appear within his body without any warning. He focused his mind and controlled this energy, circulating it along route designated by the flame mantra Qi method. Finally, this energy transformed into powerful Do Qi that merged into every part of Xiao Yang's body. Xiao Yang had shut his eyes and had focused his mind. He could clearly hear the countless cells within his body emitting a voice filled with desire and joy as this energy was shuttled around. Just one black demon lightning was comparable to an entire day of training for Xiao Yang. It was impossible to even compare the effectiveness between the two because they were truly vastly different. If it is possible to absorb all of this black demon lightning, it not be difficult to reach the advanced level of the 5th star of the Dosheng class. Xiao Yang glanced sideways at the black demon lightning, which filled the deepest parts of the lightning pool, with narrowed eyes. A faint smile lifted onto the corner of his mouth before he shut his eyes. He began to refine and absorb the powerful energy surging from his body at an increased speed. The quiet deepest parts of the empty realm lightning pool were currently emitting waves of roaring thunder. Many giant python-like black thunderbolts whistled down. Their might covered this area as tens of thousands of thunderbolts moved together. In front of this spectacular spectacle, even an elite Dosheng would feel extremely tiny. There were 2 whirlpool-like existences within the black lightning sea. Many black thunderbolts whistled around these 2 spots, causing them to be surrounded. Regardless of how ferocious the bolts were, the 2 regions were like bottomless pits that could not be filled. All of the bolts of black demon lightning, regardless of quality, would eventually disappear with a black flash of light. Those 2 gluttonous individuals tirelessly and crazily devoured clusters of black demon lightning. A figure was seated at the edge of the deepest region of this lightning pool. Many black lightning arcs would occasionally flee from his skin, setting off his black clothes and hair, giving him an exceptionally mysterious and unfathomable appearance. This devouring was destined to last for a long time. Fortunately, the amount of lightning within the lightning pool in the empty realm had already reached a relatively frightening extent after evolving over an uncountable number of years. Otherwise, they would have been devoured by these 2 black hole-like existences within a short period of time. The lightning pool was hidden within the endless empty realm where seldom a person traveled. Even elite Doshengs, who occasionally barged into this realm, would not dare to simply enter the lightning pool. Hence, Xiao Yang's training progressed unusually smoothly without anyone disturbing him. Time flew by during this training. Within the blink of an eye, 1 month had quietly passed. During this 1 month, there was no telling how many bolts of black demon lightning the Northern King and Little Yi had devoured. That enormous, seemingly endless, devouring caused the number of black demon lightning within the deepest part of this lightning pool to become a lot fainter. Of course, after devouring such a vast amount of black demon lightning, both the Northern King, Little Yi, and even Xiao Yang had naturally gained incomparable benefits. The Northern King's body had become a slightly deeper shade of black after being refined for an entire month. The black color possessed an unusual demonic force. At a glance, it appeared like a continuously rotating black hole. An attack that landed on it would be devoured by the black hole. The strange black glow lingered around the Northern King's body. From a distance, it appeared as though an extremely thin layer of black-colored armor had been formed on his body. The armor was deep and dark, causing the Northern King to appear a little mysterious. The current body of the Northern King, which could only be described as terrifying, would be able to fight equally with a genuine 6-star Dosheng. Moreover, it had inherited the rich battle experience of the Northern Dragon King, forcing its opponent to truly regard it as an elite 6-star Dosheng. After the Northern Dragon King's body had been strengthened to this level, it seemed to have vaguely touched a limit. Regardless of how it absorbed the black demon lightning, the effect was extremely insignificant. Xiao Yang could only helplessly shake his head. Regardless of how perfect it had been made, a puppet was ultimately a puppet. It was already extremely difficult to strengthen it to such an extent. It would likely be far too difficult to make it even stronger. While the Northern King had obtained a wonderful result, Xiao Yang and Little Yi, who had madly devoured black demon lightning for a month, had also made significant gains. Xiao Yang had not only risen an initial 5-star Dosheng to an intermediate 5-star Dosheng, he had also reached the peak of the intermediate level. It was not impossible for him to reach the advanced level within a short period of time. As for Little Yi, his body was still as tiny as before, but it was possible to vaguely see some black lightning arcs flashing through the pink flame on his body. After devouring such a large amount of black demon lightning, tendrils of black demon lightning had actually begun to appear within the purifying demonic lotus flame. This caused the offensive strength of the purifying demonic lotus flame to significantly rise. Xiao Yang was relatively satisfied with his gains, but the problem the Northern King had experienced also occurred to Xiao Yang a month later. After his strength had been raised to the intermediate level of the 5th star of the Dosheng class, Xiao Yang's body seemed to have developed a resistance for the black demon lightning. The obvious increase in his strength from earlier had diminished, so he had no choice but to withdraw from his training state. Xiao Yang opened his eyes, which had been shut for a month. There was also a faint black arc of lightning flashing within them. His mouth was slightly widened as a low lightning roar was emitted from his throat. Air, which contained some black lightning, was released from Xiao Yang's mouth. He stood up as waves of a clear cracking sound were emitted from his body. The majestic and endless strength he felt seemed just like a huge dragon had hidden itself within his muscles. The huge dragon could rise with just a thought and unleash a frightening destructive force that would make one speechless. I was just about to step into the advanced level of the 5th star of the Dosheng class. How unfortunate. Xiao Yang briefly examined his body before he shook his head in regret. He beckoned with his hand. A red light and a black light rushed out of the deepest part of the lightning pool. In a flash, it appeared beside Xiao Yang. These lights were the Northern King and Little Yi, who had been devouring the black demon lightning for a month. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over the Northern King, whose body seemed to be covered in a black crystal. The crystal flickered with a mysterious luster as an aura, which caused even him to feel wary, gradually spread apart, causing others to not want to underestimate it. Perfect. Xiao Yang's finger touched the Northern King's arm. From this touch, he understood that if a huge dragon was hidden in his muscles, there were 10 or more of them hidden in the Northern King's skin. Such a puppet could only be described as perfect. Xiao Yang's eyes shifted to Little Yi after observing the Northern King. Little Yi's appearance did not appear to have changed much, but there seemed to be black arcs of lightning present. The Northern King has already reached its limit. The black demon lightning is unable to raise its strength anymore. My body has also begun to form a resistance against the black demon lightning's energy. The effects of continuing to train will greatly diminish. Xiao Yang mulled over the matter. A moment later, he finally felt like leaving. After having been away for a month, Cai Lin and the rest would have become a little worried. This might be a good place to train, but it was impossible for him to remain here for much longer. It is time to leave. Xiao Yang softly sighed. He lifted his head and once again glanced at the lightning pool. He had just turned his body when the deepest part of the lightning pool, which had gradually quietened down because Little Yi and the Northern King had ceased devouring the lightning, suddenly fluctuated. Immediately, black lightning flickered through the pool. They swarmed toward the dark region in the middle from all directions. Xiao Yang was startled after the lightning move. He immediately frowned. His eyes scanned the deepest part of the lightning pool. There seemed to be an unusual pressure growing there. This pressure felt similar to the pressure black demon lightning emitted. However, it was many times stronger. Xiao Yang's eyes stared at that area. His eyes flickered. A moment later, he slowly rose into the air and absorbed Little Yi into his body. He made the Northern King walk in front of him as they slowly headed toward the dark region. The strange pressure increased as they approached the dark region. In the end, Xiao Yang's footsteps came to a sudden halt. His dark black eyes contained a trace of shock as they stared at the middle of the lightning sea. A huge dragon, which seemed to be made of gold, was entrenched at that spot. Golden thunderbolts shot from the surface of its body. This is the 9 mysterious golden lightning that can only be attracted by a Tier 9 golden pill, highest Tier 9 medicinal pill. It says 1 month, but shouldn't it be 2? The paragraph above says a month later Xiao Yang experienced the same problem as the Northern King did. The Northern King didn't have this problem until a month in though. Is it supposed to just be the same month of time instead of a month later? True. But I guess the author forgot about the 1 month before. Actually no, 2 paragraphs earlier, Lin Dong seems to have awoken to deal with the Northern King. Yeah, he awoke to deal with the Northern King, but the paragraph right before this one states this Xiao Yang was relatively satisfied with his gains, but the problem the Northern King had experienced also occurred to Xiao Yang a month later. That sentence makes it seem like he woke up, dealt with the Northern King, then went back to training, then experienced the same problem as the Northern King a month later. If one were to rank the 9 mysterious golden lightning like a heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking, this lightning would boast a position equivalent to the purifying demonic lotus flame or even the nihility devouring flame. This 9 mysterious golden lightning would only appear after refining a Tier 9 golden pill. It was an earth-shaking matter each time this lightning appeared. The world would quiver and even elite Do Shungs would appear tiny and insignificant under the might of this lightning. Within some of the ancient books, there were records of the unusual natural phenomenons forming when an alchemist, who had reached the peak, refined a Tier 9 golden pill. The most frightening aspect of this unusual phenomenon was the 9 mysterious golden lightning. Even an ordinary elite Do Shung would be turned into dust if that expert touched it even a little. Of course, the 9 mysterious golden lightning was extremely rare even during the golden age of the ancient era. It had been thousands of years since the 9 mysterious golden light had appeared on the Do-Chi continent. In other words, the Tier 9 golden pill had not appeared on the Do-Chi continent for thousands of years. However, probably no one in the world could refine this divine medicinal pill. Even Xiao Yang could only remain quiet before these words. Given his medicinal refinement skills, he might not dare to say that he was the best on the continent, but it would not be difficult for him to be rank among the top 3. However, the highest tier medicinal pill that he had ever refined was a Tier 9 treasure pill. He had never attempted to refine the Tier 9 mysterious pill. Even less needed to be said about the higher-ranked Tier 9 golden pill. Hence, the legendary 9 mysterious golden lightning was something he had only ever read about in the ancient books. Although he had never seen it, he was still able to recognize the 9 mysterious golden lightning at first glance because of his sharp spiritual perception. This place has actually produced a 9 mysterious golden lightning. Even with Xiao Yang's fortitude, He involuntarily felt his breathing became a little difficult at this moment. It was a long while later before his mouth finally emitted a low mutter without him even realizing it. His voice was filled with shock and disbelief. The huge golden lightning dragon lay in the deepest part of the lightning sea. Its eyes were tightly shut. Golden lightning arcs continued to flash over its body. An extermination-like energy quietly spread, causing the empty realm to appear extremely distorted. The densely packed bolts of black demon lightning lingered 10,000 feet away from the golden lightning dragon, as though they were worshipping their king. Xiao Yang involuntarily swallowed a mouthful of saliva as he examined this scene. That faint sound was exceptionally loud in this completely quiet realm. Hence, many bolts of the black demon lightning suddenly turned and charged at Xiao Yang like many furious pythons. Xiao Yang merely withdrew once the black demon lightning beings started to charge over. His eyes rapidly flickered as he turned around and fled. He was not afraid of the black demon lightning, but he could not afford not to be afraid of the lightning dragon, which appeared to be in a slumber. He could sense a terrifying aura emanating from the dragon's body. He admitted that he was far inferior to that aura based on his guess. If one used human levels to measure the lightning dragon's strength, this lightning dragon was likely equivalent to a 7-star dosheng. This level was something that Xiao Yang could not fight against. Hence, he did not hesitate to turn around and flee after discovering the level of the dragon's aura. Bang bang! Xiao Yang's fleeing attracted an increasing number of black demon lightning beings, so they chased after him. In an instant, the deepest parts of the lightning pool seemed to have churned. Xiao Yang had barged into their holy land and seemed to have infuriated them. Bolts of black demon lightning surged from all directions, headed towards Xiao Yang. Under the assault from such a number of black demon lightning beings, even Xiao Yang ended up feeling his scalp go numb. He waved his hand and the Northern King appeared above his head. Xiao Yang's shoulder subsequently shook as Little Yi appeared. After which, Little Yi flew below him. Both the Northern King and Little Yi guarded Xiao Yang from above and below respectively. The waves of black demon lightning beings arrived after Xiao Yang summoned Little Yi. However, a suction force erupted from the Northern King and Little Yi when they were 100 feet away from Xiao Yang. All of these bolts of lightning were absorbed into the duo's bodies. Let's go. Xiao Yang did not dare to remain still after easily blocking the attacks of the black demon lightning beings. A pair of bone wings appeared on his back. He was just about to hurriedly flee away when the pores all over his body suddenly opened wide. He hurriedly turned around and coincidentally saw the golden lightning dragon within the lightning pool slowly open its eyes. Lightning flashed and thunder roared within the dragon's eyes, as though the entire world had shot into those huge dragon eyes. This is bad. That big fellow has awakened. Dragon's pair of cold emotionless eyes stared at Xiao Yang, causing him to feel as though his head was about to explode. The green-red bone wings on his back were flapped with great force as his body turned into a ray of light which fled from this lightning pool. Rumble. The golden lightning dragon widened its huge mouth after seeing Xiao Yang flee at such a rapid speed. 1,000-foot-large golden lightning emitted a crackling sound as it shot out at the speed of light. Within a flash, it had caught up to Xiao Yang. The golden lightning, which rushed at Xiao Yang from behind, caused his eyes to narrow. This speed left no room for him to escape. He decisively turned his body around. Majestic Do Chi swiftly gathered on the surface of his body like an enormous black hole-like swirl. With a wave of his hand, the Northern King was placed in front of him. Little Yi also flashed with a fire glow as he appeared on Xiao Yang's shoulder again. His small face currently revealed a rare solemnness. Xiao Yang was not given the opportunity to sigh in relief after forming many layers of defenses. The golden lightning filled his eyes before it ruthlessly struck the Northern King's body. Bang! That powerful collision sent the Northern King's body backwards. Xiao Yang hurriedly pressed on its back, but he was unable to block that huge force. Instead, he was also sent flying. Although the Northern King's body was sent flying, its ability to absorb lightning strength once again appeared. One could see many golden lightning arcs leaping around its body. They were like tiny insects that continuously burrowed into its body. At the same time, Xiao Yang had been struck by the lightning since his hand had been touching the Northern King's body. That frighteningly wild and violent energy shook and destroyed the Do Chi swirl on the surface of his body. Fortunately, Little Yi quickly stepped forward. He completely unleashed his devouring power and ruthlessly sucked in these golden-colored lightning arcs. The enormous golden lightning wrapped around Xiao Yang, Northern King, and Little Yi. Many huge lightning arcs continuously flickered. The surrounding black demon lightning beings, which had been rushing over, hurriedly came to a halt before fleeing into the distance. None of them dared to even come close to the golden lightning. Xiao Yang clenched his teeth while surrounded by the lightning arc. After Little Yi had devoured the golden lightning, an extremely destructive and mighty energy surged into his body. This was the energy that Little Yi had fed back to him. Xiao Yang hurriedly focused his mind on top of feeling shocked. He firmly controlled this vast and mighty energy, directing it through his medians. Wherever this energy passed, tiny golden arcs would flash before his body would emit waves of piercing pain. Even after being filtered by Little Yi, the energy from this 9 mysterious golden lightning still caused Xiao Yang to suffer. Fortunately, the interior of his body had already been strengthened by the black demon lightning. Hence, he did not need to worry about any danger despite suffering a bitter sensation. A golden lightning glow flickered. Xiao Yang tried his best to refine the wild and violent energy within his body. After a couple of minutes, the cold perspiration on his face finally diminished. That rebellious wild horse-like energy gradually turned into waves of floodwater like pure do qi that flowed into his bones. Xiao Yang suddenly discovered that his strength, which had ceased rising earlier, had actually begun to once again grow at a slow pace. If this trend continued, he would likely reach the advanced level of the 5-star of the Doshan class within a short moment. This sudden surprise caused Xiao Yang's face to involuntarily reveal joy. However, this joy had yet to spread when he was awoken by a crack sound. His eyes hurriedly shifted to the Northern King, only to find that its skin, which was covered in golden lightning arcs, had cracked and formed a faint gap. What a terrifying 9 mysterious golden lightning. Even the body of the Northern King cannot endure it. Xiao Yang's heart immediately became cold after seeing the crack that had formed. If Little Yi had not used his fire spirit to refine the lightning, even Xiao Yang would not dare to absorb this destructive energy. He immediately waved his hand and hurriedly put the Northern King into his storage ring. Xiao Yang had spent a lot of effort in order to refine this puppet. He would really feel his heart ache if the Northern King were to be destroyed in this place. Xiao Yang's body rapidly withdrew after he stored away the Northern King. Little Yi on his shoulder unleashed his devouring power to its limit. Finally, he absorbed the rest of the golden lightning into his body all at once. Immediately, the surface of his small body exploded and formed many golden lightning glows. The purifying demonic lotus flame within was unleashed to its limit to madly refine this lightning. I have broken through. Xiao Yang's body suddenly shook as an increasing amount of vast and mighty energy surged into Xiao Yang's body. A joy rose within his eyes. His strength had been elevated to the advanced level of the 5th star of the Doshan class by relying on the strength of this 9 mysterious golden lightning. He had, at the very least, saved half a year's of training. Hurry and leave. Xiao Yang's body hurriedly withdrew as he relied on Little Yi to swallow the last bit of the 9 mysterious golden lightning. His eyes glanced at the deepest part of the sea of lightning as he withdrew. Many huge lightning arcs suddenly exploded from the golden lightning dragon's large body. A dragon roar containing a great misery reverberated across this sea of lightning in an earth-shaking manner. The black demon lightning beings around it withdrew into the distance in fear. A spiritual aura is gathering. This 9 mysterious golden lightning is actually trying to form a spirit. This understanding caused Xiao Yang's rapidly withdrawing figure to suddenly pause. His eyes quickly flickered. Although this 9 mysterious golden lightning was extremely terrifying, it did not possess an intelligence. In other words, it could not be called a spirit. This so-called spiritual gathering was actually the formation of intelligence. If this 9 mysterious golden lightning succeeded, it would turn into an existence similar to the purifying demonic lotus flame of the past, a 9 mysterious golden lightning with intelligence. Of course, this was not something that Xiao Yang desired. However, the 9 mysterious golden lightning would enter an extremely weak state while forming a spirit. Even with Xiao Yang's mental fortitude, his heart began to pound at a greater speed as he thought of its weakened state. This video will end here.